community, we are having this identity crisis, which is supposed to happen because we have people who don't like us, and they are definitely gonna have to do. They're gonna try to do anything they can to try to come in and destroy our identity. So today we're gonna look at it and see what can we do, so that's what we're gonna be talking about. But before I do that, let me see if I can post something in on WhatsApp to make sure that people knows we are live now. Okay, all right. So now, who is an African? Who is an African? That's what we want to look today and see how did we get to where we are, because I think not. I hope everyone have saw this. Let me see if I can share this real quickly. Which one? I will use maybe this one here. It's actually just, and I thought you were already in. So this is a message being around for, I hope you guys can see this, right? Yeah, you can see this definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, everyone can see that. This is a message almost like hit the roof. And everyone is talking about it. But not long ago, I had a show where he was talking about who is an African, and this is just taking us exactly to the same direction of who is an African. One, how did we, today we're going to examine how did we offer citizenship, or how did we offer staying in Africa before Europeans came to us, because we had a process. We had before they come to us, we had a process. If someone lived from one place, from like the Kingdom of Mali, you move from Kingdom of Mali for any reason, and you end up in the Kingdom of Chad or in the Kingdom of Baganda. So how was we doing? How people were living? Because we have today another kind of white people plan or agenda they did to us. When they come, they start to establish ID, or what they call is possible, you can call drive license, pretty much. And I don't know if I did this video. I believe I did. Is when the president of Tanzania, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, was talking about this European. When they came to us, they were asking us, like, what is? They were asking your religion. They were asking your tribe. They were asking your age, if you can read or write. So they were asking all of that, but the president of Tanzania said, no, we don't need to ask people's religion, because we are not shehe, we are not priest, we are not bishop, to ask people in a sense, what is your religion? So, but the whole idea why they were asking religion and the tribes, it is because they were planning to do what they did in Rwanda. If you guys, I hope you know that, and not only in Rwanda, in many places in Africa, actually, we're still suffering with the issue of tribes. So how were we doing? How was before Europeans came to us in Africa? How were we identify ourselves? How were we adopting someone from one tribe to another? Definitely, we did not have white people there, or Chinese and Indians. we had someone who lived from one tribe to another. So how were we doing that? What was the process? That's what we're gonna be looking at today, and then we're gonna go a little further and look how can who is in Africa from African diaspora or from African outside of Africa. That one also we're gonna look at it. But today we're gonna start with in Africa. Give me 1 second. So now, the idea of how if someone end up in different kingdom, I'm gonna be starting in Africa, and again I'm gonna be also asking you guys. Some of you may know from your kingdom or from where you grow up, because or from where you originate from. It may be a little different, but what I understand from where I grow up is that if someone maybe there is a famine and this individual is having to move from one place to another to find food, and then they decide to now move back to where to their tribe. So they will go there, and if they come by peace, they will go there. They will be welcomed as guests. Okay, if you come under the kingdom, let's say like the kingdom of Mswati. So the king this time is Mswati, and then you come in here. So this king, he will not allow you to be a member of his kingdom at all. You will be there as a guest, as someone who's a visitor. And then, if the king die, then the children of the one who come next, which will be the children of the king that you come on, will be able to accept you and do the traditional process of adopting you in tribe, which means that first of all, you already know the language, you already know the culture, and they will also go through the process by changing, by you pick another name, because if you just move, let's say like you moving from Yoruba and you're going to Baganda tribe, and in Baganda tribe your name is not there because your name is in Yoruba language. So when you move to Baganda, your name was not there. So that means you would have to change your name to Baganda tribe. And also they had what they call the blood drinking, which is like a commitment. It's like a pledge to the kingdom and to the family and to the tribe that they will cut blood on your arm, and they will cut someone's blood also, on someone's hand, and they will mix it, which means that you will never betray this tribe where you are adopted, where you are become a citizen of, or where you become member of. Okay, so it was not just from nowhere. Like it was, first of all, it was taking too long because it was for next generation actually. If you come under this kingdom, this king will never accept you he will never make you to be a member of his tribe, because he will think maybe you may go back to bring your other tribe to invade them. So he will have to wait until when this one who welcome you, he died, and then the children or the son, they were the one who will be able to adopt you in the tribe. So that was how the process was, and also that will go with giving you a wife, or your children. They give them wives if they need wives, or if some need husband, they will give them, and they will give you land as well. Okay, so that was if you come as a visitor, or if you come as you are hungry, maybe you are finding food. Now, if you come as in war, okay, so let's say like one tribe was fighting another one, and at the end you get captured, they capture you. So this was actually more difficult because it will take approximately like 4 or 5 generations to be adopted as a member of this tribe where they capture you. So it will take more longer because they will always think that this individual may run away. So it will be like the children of your children will be accepted to be the member of the tribe. Do you guys have a question so far from here? No?
Go ahead, Brother Amani. You can continue with the dialogue.
Okay, yeah. So that was back in days before European, Arabs, Indians, Chinese, before they come to us in Africa and start to disturb us. Now, after that, when the Europeans start to come to Africa, they changed almost everything. They come, they establish this idea of passport. We did not have it. They come, they establish this idea of ID or drive license. We did not have it. They came, they established this idea of birth certifications. We did not have it. Everyone who were born in Africa, if you are born in your tribe, honestly, there's no birth certification were needed because everyone knows everyone. Okay, so if one kid is missing around, they will make sure that this kid is found without using both certifications and so on. How they will not, when someone is born, they had a way of counting either stones or small piece of trees, so they know exactly when someone is born and how old they are. So, and also it was going, I was looking to invite someone from Ethiopia, of Oromo, who they have what they call Gada system. I wish someone, I could find someone to talk about us about the Gada system. It's a very, very good system, democratic actually, founded in Africa and been there for a long time. It's very, very fair system. No one can, in Gada system, there is no fight of for leadership or power because it's structured from when someone is born all the way to until they die. So everyone knows they priorities and responsibilities in community. So if a kid is missing, they had in Gada system festival, all the kids who are born in the same time, they grow up together, so they do things together, so you know exactly which area or which age someone is covered, because if in the whole tribe, like there's 1,000 kids who were born at this time, so they will all grow and do things together. If it's time to go to watch cows, all those kids who will grow up in that area, they will go to watch cows. If it's time to protect the ladies going to bring water, those kids who grow up in that time, they will be gradually going together, so you know exactly when you were born, even if you don't write it down, because this Gada system was established to actually show that. But that is only for I believe for Oromo people. Maybe I don't know if there's other ones, other tribes were doing that. And now, so when the European come now, we have European in Africa who start with this, what I was talking about, the birth certifications. And by the way, remember, if they come and they found there is no tribe, they will create one. Okay, yes, if they come, they found like all people are together and they can figure out if there is any tribe, they will definitely, they will just sit there and they create one. And they did in many times, in many places, and many times they did in Tanzania, in West Tanzania, they create one tribe, in Rwanda and Burundi as well, and in Uganda too, in Eastern Congo, they created tribes. I don't know rather about maybe in Western Africa, but they created tribes in many places to make sure that we would be fighting forever. Even though, but when they were creating those tribes, they did not actually create by using European names or European things. No, they use what people already have in place. So that is one thing I want to cover. Now, who is an African? An African in Africa, because we're gonna go by three categories of Africans. There is Africans in Africa. There is Africans outside of Africa, which are possibly descendants of slavery. And there is Africans of immigrants outside of Africa. So it's three categories. There is Africans in Africa, there is Africans of descendants of slavery. A lot of time when we say descendant of slavery, people think of American continent, but no, it is more bigger than that. And then there is Africans. The last one is African descendants of immigrants. So people who migrate from Africa to other places. And this can be very, very long time, possibly like 5,000 or 6,000 years ago. That's possibly what we can think of, but some of them nobody knows. We just know they look Africans, and they still practicing everything like Africans. So you can't just say they are not African, although they look exactly like New Guinea, Papua, and West Papua, all of those areas, and in Indonesia, Malaysia, India. We have those people who are living there, Sri Lanka, who are pure African, like really African. So you can't say they are not African because just because we don't know which year they left Africa does not make us to say they are not African. Because if, for instance, we will go to Russia, me and someone who's from West Papua, and in Russia they're gonna just call all of us African. So they're not gonna say anything besides just say African. So that's what we're gonna look at. The first one is Africans who are, I want you guys to listen to this careful, because a lot of people have misunderstood us when we're trying to define who is an African. So Africans who are in Africa and who are born in Africa, who never go outside of Africa. That's group A. Group B is African descendant of slavery. Group C is African descendant of immigrants, or immigrants African. So I think that's very, very clear. Now let's start from, but before I go there, why do we have to define who's an African? Because people are stealing from us. They are almost, how do you call that? Like identity thieves. People are stealing our identity. That's one. People are
culture bandits.
Go ahead.
Culture bandits.
Yes. So they are really, people are trying to destroy us, but also they are also trying to steal from to steal us, to steal our culture, to steal our land, to steal our history, which they've been doing this forever. They're trying to destroy our history. They're trying to make us fighting. They try, they do anything they can to just distract us. I was reading a history of how in European or white they trying to change the skin color of Brazilians by importing more white people and make them marry with black people, so that they can found kind of they can create a new race that is gonna fight black people, and it happened actually in Argentina. They actually murdered and killed almost every black person you know of. If you look, where black people are in sports, and in sports they always present. But in Argentina, there is no one single black player in football at all. So that is unseen because they killed all black people there. So that's what we're gonna go. That's the reason why we have to define who is an African and who can take advantage of African, and also who is suffering because of being African or being black. Some people, they just wanna put uniform on when is to take opportunities of black people, or here in America, especially minority. People want to take that advantage, but when it's coming time to actually face the real problem, they'll be like, "Oh no, I'm not black. My skin color is not black enough, or no, black does name is not it's not really, or like I'm not African American, I'm a black American, all of those kind of things, because they just want to be taking advantage of it, but they do not want to pay the price of it. So we have to decide. We have to define who's an African. Even if we are talking about the idea of uniting Africa, how do you gonna unite people who you don't know? Like, it's not gonna work. We have to know who is an African before you unite people, because you can't unite people who you do not know who they are. So so that was why we are doing this. Now, Africans born in Africa and live in Africa, at least someone who is born in Africa is an African, born in Africa and live in the African continent. These 4 items, he should or she should have at least 3 of these 4 of items. 1, if you really born in Africa, you never be another place, you definitely should have your tribe language. Yes, because every African who live in the continent, but this is except Liberia, because as you know, Liberian, they went there from the American continent, so they don't have a tribes, because they are pretty much like number 2, which is African descendants of slavery or Atlantic slavery. So if you are in Africa and you've been in Africa, you never go outside, you should have a tribe. That is 1. Number 2, if you are African in Africa, you should have a tribal language. Okay? Yeah, so I'm talking about really tribal language like Yoruba, Mandinga, Hausa, Fulani, Igbo, Luganda, Runyankore, Amharic, Tigrinya, Oromo, Kikuyu in Kenya, Zulu in South Africa, what is that? Shona in Malawi, and so on, or Kinyarwanda in Rwanda, and Kirundi in Burundi. So you should have a tribal language. Okay, that's number 2. But again, this does not include Afrikaner. That's a Dutch. It's not. There is no such language called Afrikaner at all. That's a Dutch, just twisted around, but it is Dutch. That is not is N/A. Okay. And also this does not include Arabic, because Arabic is not a tribe in Africa. We don't have a tribe called Arabic in Africa. Number 3, a tribe land. So every tribe in Africa you know of, they have a land. So if you say, hey, you know what, I'm African and I'm from this tribe, then tell us where is the land. Because if you are Somali, you are Somali tribe, there is a Somali land, there is a Somali tribe land where the tribe live, or Yoruba land, or Hausa land, or this in Nubia land, you know. You have to have at least something of reference to your tribe. Again, the European who come to Africa, they don't have any of those. The other thing, which is number 4, is a last name of your tribe. Okay, yeah, you're not gonna come to Africa and say, hey, my last name is Washington, and or Smith, and thinking that someone is gonna buy that. No, definitely not. We would ask you, like, which tribe is Smith? And what does it really mean Smith, you know? Or Williams, you know, all of those things, you know. So, but again, it does not mean all of the everyone have all of those, because some people has changed to change their names totally. They left their tribe names and they have now, like, you know, Jackson, whatever, Paul or something. So it's not all applied, but at least some of those. And now the other one is that Muslim people, sometimes Muslims, when they have, especially in Somalia, I believe, and maybe possibly even in Mali too, I'm not sure though, and Egypt as well, when people join the Muslim, they change all names. So you will see like Abdurrahman, Hassan, Mubarak. So all of those are the Muslim names, but which means that people of Muslim, they may not have last names that are family last names. So that is definitely something we need to put in mind, that people of Africa who live in Africa, they may who are Muslim, they may don't have the last names that belongs to their tribes. Now the other thing is the culture. believing on this, even though our culture is being kind of suppressed by Western civilization and so on, some people still hold on their culture, like Ghanaians or Ivory Coast, Maasai people special, and Lara Amhara and Oromo as well. People still, even in Baganda too, people still holding their culture as much as they can. When the culture includes, I already say, language, clothes, food. Uh, what is other things? Maybe the beliefs. Beliefs we don't have to go there because we Africans start all religions. So all faiths, all kind of faiths are in Africa, and there is nothing wrong with that. We must protect all of those. Whoever people believe in, if it and which has been working for us as Africans, if it does not cause problems, let the people do whatever they want to do. Let people pray their gods however they want to pray, as long as it's bringing peace in our continent. And that is there is no problem with that. I don't have any problem with that the issue of religions. But when it comes to culture, the religions and faith may apply as well. Now, I think those are the most like the basic ones that if you want to know someone who's trying to steal, trying to identify themselves as Africans, but they're not, you will be able to catch them on that. If you ask them, hey, what is your tribe name? If someone is not from Africa, they're not gonna have that. All the way to Madagascar, everyone who's from Africa, they have at least tribe. They may not really gonna tell you exactly. And sometimes it goes even deeper to sub-tribes, like after tribe, there is another little piece inside the tribe that you can possibly call families as well. And people knows those things and they know what is about. So I think those are good ideas for people who are Africans who live in African continents. Never go outside. Again, this does not apply to Liberia and possibly some parts of Sierra Leone. And also, I want to highlight this when it comes to Africa. In Africa, Arabs are not Africans. They are invaders like Europeans or like Chinese today. Okay, they just invade us and conquer us on 6th and 7th century. Okay, it's been a long time. People has almost kind of trying to forget. People do not even realize it because we don't know when it happened. People are talking about American slavery because it's not really long ago, and people keep this. These things has been kept. People talk about it, so we know exactly. But when it comes to how Arabs conquer Mali, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Libya, whole way to maybe North Sudan. People don't really, a lot of times we don't discuss about this, and people feel like almost like comfortable with saying that Arabs belongs to there. No, Arabs does not belong to Egypt at all. Those guys you see there, they were not there on the 5th or 4th or 1st century, even way before they were not there. In fact, people who really are Africans are in there is some left especially in Egypt. We still have Nubians there, but also we have Africans who are left over in Middle East, especially Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Iraq as well, Turkey, all those areas, Israel as well. We still have a few who were not killed because when Arabs conquer Africa, it does not matter if you accept to be Muslim or not, they will still kill you. Okay, it was not the issue of believing in what they were bringing in. It was the issue of just killing you, or you run away and you leave the place. So that is what I want to highlight on the issue of Africans who live in Africa. If you guys you have a question, you ask me before I move to African, the descendants of slavery. Oh, also I want
But
to
yeah,
ask you
brother,
that. Go ahead.
um, something I like to comment on some things you said. Um, I ran into a sister born in Liberia just yesterday, and we had a conversation. And when she told me she was from Liberia, I said, "Oh, so jokingly, I said you are a true African American." And so she corrected me, and she said, "Yes, although Liberia is said to be founded by Africans who came from America, there were indigenous people there already."
Mm-hmm.
So she reminded me and she educated me that there were indigenous people in Liberia already before the Africans who were taken away from Africa, returned back to Africa, and formed the state called Liberia, which was, I guess we can say that was an American colony, right?
Yes.
Almost. Yeah. So, yeah, there were indigenous Africans in Liberia already. So, when Africans returned from the Americas, yeah, they integrated with the indigenous Africans who have a language, who have tribes,
Okay. Yeah. Actually, that's
who have
good.
all of those things.
Yeah, that's a very good point there because I
And that was a part of the Berlin Conference as well. That whole establishment was a later stage of the Berlin Conference where they were carving out the borders of Africa, creating colonies, and European nations, Arabic nations were taking possession of Africa and controlling its resources and its people. So, yeah, let's just make that clear as well, how they come into existence with Liberia, and including Sierra Leone. Go ahead, continue, brother.
yes. So now stay in Africa, as Russell mentioned about Liberia. Yeah, definitely people were in place a way long time in Liberia before people who came back to Liberia and created. Uh, and those people who were there, they are Liberians, and they had their own culture and so on. Possibly they did not have the name as Liberia, but they existed. I never actually searched that. I wish my friend was on here, Abubakar, who is from Sierra Leone. Maybe he could tell us what kind of tribes were there, and how it did go when they welcome people from the continent of America to Liberia. Now, staying there, looking at those characteristics, it makes sense that those Europeans in Zimbabwe who came and stole our land does not belong today. And by the way, before I even move forward, I forgot to say about this. If someone came to you as invader, who came to invade you, they could never accept you to be among the tribe. There was no inauguration. It does not matter how many years it goes. If you came to invade and then you capture the place, they will never invade you. They will never invite you to join the tribe. So, in other words, there will never be, and there is not any inauguration that we're waiting to give those white people from in South Africa and Namibia and Zimbabwe, because they are invaders. They are not our guests. They did not come to visit us. They did not come to do business. They came with guns. Okay, it does not matter
Pure
what they have.
firepower.
Go ahead. It does not matter what they have there. We will not. We will never give them. We will never give them access to be to be our people among us. We will never accept them to be among our tribes. Okay, it does not matter what. Maybe you can say when it comes to Chinese, because Chinese they did not come with guns. Okay, they are colonizing Africa, but in a technical way, as investors. Okay, as people who are almost like they are playing friendly. They are not forcing anyone, but still they are colonizing us. So then you can possibly think, hey, you know what? These people did not really burn our houses. They did not shoot us. They did not torture us or genocide us like what the Germany did and the Belgians in Congo. But still, Chinese also are not. They don't have right to become citizens of Africa in terms of how the process will go. That's one. Number one, they don't speak the language where they are. Number two, they don't belong to there in terms of the goodness of our people. Number three, they are foreigners. Okay, so I think let me stop for here and let me move to number two, which is African descendants of slavery. I'm gonna start by talking about the slavery of Arabs because that one is the one came first. Okay, we Africans, we have been victim of many things. Uh, Everyone, I think it's Stephen Boko. He said that black men, you are alone. Everyone who we try to go to run to, thinking they're gonna protect us, they actually end up to do really bad to us. So we have to learn how to stand on ourselves. If we're gonna finish standing there, we need to start figure out how to do that. There is no such person who is willing to, who is gonna come to us and save us from anything. So the Arab slavery, it was even worse because most of people who were taken into that slavery, they have been killed. Okay, there is no record of people who actually were taken to that slavery who still alive that many. I want to make sure this because a lot of people will see black people in the Middle East. They will see black people in India and Pakistan. There are some people, how they call that? I can't remember the name, my goodness. But so they will see these people and they will call them descendants of slavery. No, these people are not descendants of slavery. Instead, they are actually, they originate from there. They are not descendant of slavery because there is no that much record on it. So most of people who are in the Middle East and India and the whole way to which like Eastern Europe, they are not descendant of slavery. Instead, they were original who were primitive to the land. It's like what is happening in Australia. Maybe in next 200 years, people will say, hey, these black people in Australia, they are slaves. They are descendants of slavery because, but honestly, no, they are the owner of the land. Everyone came in and they pushed them out. If there is any question on that, it seems like Brother Eugene, you want to say something.
Yeah, that's just the indigenous people of the land itself. And we mostly see that all throughout planet Earth, where we have to remind ourselves that black man and the black woman was the creator of civilization and all that we know of civilization today. And so many cultures derive from us as African people. I think we need to get more towards the truth of the matter, identifying who it is that we are as a people, who we are as an African people, and we are a very diverse culture of African people as we know it today. But I'll go ahead and let you continue on, Brother Imani. Continue with the dialogue.
Yes, thank you so much. So, yeah, in India, I was searching for it. The people of African descent, they are called Sirdis. Sirdis are people in India who are descendant of who are people are saying, but I don't believe that. Who are they say they descendant of slavery, which I don't think so. Instead, I think that they are original of India. Everyone came to there after them. After them. So they are called Sirdis. Those are not slavery. Those are not descendants of slavery. Now, when it comes to Arab trade, we really don't have much information. We don't even know if we don't know that much who survived it, but possibly there is some of them who survived it in that area, but people, because of the slavery was really bad, most of them has been killed. Uh, that's why I can possibly talk about that. Now I want to move on to the Western slavery, which a lot of you knows, and which a lot of people here in America they are descendant of. The African the African, what they call transatlantic slavery. It took a lot of people in different areas of Africa, and they end up on American continent. A lot of people who are in, I'm not gonna give you lesson to this, but a lot of people who are in U.S. Whole way from America, whole way to Jamaica, Cuba, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, and possibly maybe Canada as well. They came direct from the West Africa, such as Ghana, Nigeria, little further to Mali, Gambia, Senegal. In those areas, that's where people who are located here, and some of them may even be from Cameroon, but not that many. Now, people who are in Brazil, most of them were taken from what is known as Congo today and Angola. Most of them. And also even people who are from who are in Argentina as well. We still have a little number. They were taken from those areas. So why am I saying this? Is that those people who are descendant of slave, they are automatically African. There is no application needed. There is not how do you call it? There is no process or anything that need to take place for them to be African at all. If they desire, if someone desire to be African, just maybe they want to change their name, or they want to learn the language, if they want to be attached to one of the tribes, they can do on their own. But there should never be a government in Africa that denies them to offer them land. Actually, I believe that those people should, if they want to go back to Africa, they should have free land with no pay. And also, if they want to build, then they can figure out how to build. But because everyone in Africa owns land, okay? It's not like here in America where people are they buy land from some government or banks. No, it's not like that. In Africa, you are born in a family, your parents will pass the land on you, okay? So everyone pretty much have land. It may be small or big, but everyone in Africa has land that they did not buy. So therefore, since there is empty land that held by governments, they should give those land to African American who are willing to go to invest there or to live there, even because it's their home. We did not. We don't know what happened to them. I don't want to talk. I don't want to say about this because I found there is a lot of debates when it comes how our people were taken to slavery. But however it happens is bad. Okay. So when they need to come, someone is willing to come, they should be. There should not be any question or like go here and there. for them to get waiver documents that is provided by the local government in any given African country. If we know they did not come from maybe Somalia, but if someone chooses to go to live in Somalia, Somalian government and Somalian people who are there, they should do their best to arrange how this individual or how these people who want to go there, how they can find land, how they can live like everyone is living. I think that's what I can say about people of African America or descendant of slavery. Now, there is some people there is some people are in question when it comes to African America. As you all know that people has been raped, people has been they have been mix of sex and so on. Some people who are African American, they no longer look like African at all. I mean, physically, you cannot define like, hey, you are African. Some of them they look more white away already, to the point even if they tell you that we are black, you're not going to buy that. So those people we will need the proof of DNA. So if someone is in question, if someone just come from nowhere and they look white or they look Hispanic, like like amigos, and they say, hey, you know what, I'm African. My mom maybe is black or my grand and so on. So we just need the DNA. If you have at least maybe 35 or 40% of African DNA, you honestly African. Like you just because you look white and you have 35% of African DNA, that is good enough for you to pass to be African. And also, if your mom is black, it does not matter how you look. If your dad is black, you automatically African, okay? Regardless of what. It does not matter if your mom is black but born in Australia or Hawaii or what is that? Iceland, wherever it is. Yeah, if you born your mom or your one of your parents or you yourself is just from even the moon, as long as you are black and you can pass by, it does not even matter if you are black, but you holding your DNA is like whatever Indian DNA. If you are black already, there's no question about it.
Hey, Brother Monty, let me weigh in on that a little bit of that conversation. Thank you for providing that information to our viewers and our listeners. And I want to make one thing clear about this ADOS. A lot of folks, they often ask the question, especially those who are outside of the African culture, what is ADOS? And ADOS is a acronym, coined term, African descendants, and we don't say of people of slavery, but it is people of enslaved that were enslaved. And so that's where the acronym itself come from, ADOS, African Descendants of Enslaved People. And there's a difference. We didn't choose to be enslaved. It is a situation that came upon us where we were captured and taken into many times hostile territories. And of course, broken, just like how you would break a horse. And many of the decisions within the African American ADOS culture was decided for us as a process that took place of deprogramming of our culture, who we were as an African people, and at the same time converting us over to be of a prototype of a type of black man that America was looking for us to be. But nonetheless, to say many of us, although most of the African tribes that were brought here to the United States are from the ECOWAS region of Africa, which is the economic communities of West African states, from Morocco all the way down to Cameroon, in that area, where many of the slaves who came here were from different tribes. And although we were divided because of language barriers at first, we also knew that we had to come together as a collective of people in order to survive some of the atrocities that were carried out against us here in the United States. And it came from brainwashing to separating the black man and woman to dividing us from our children. It's a whole slew of things that were a part of what makes up the African American man and woman today. Uh, and it's based on experience for us as Pan Africans now, who are very culturally aware of who we are. And of course, with the technologies of genealogy, being able to trace your DNA, definitely you can find out for sure what parts of Africa that our ancestors are from. So I highly encourage brothers and sisters who have not taken their DNA test to find out where their genealogy comes from. It's a very important piece of the puzzle that can get you connected into where your ancestral culture is located at in Africa. But nonetheless, to say, with my personal experience, being able to take a pilgrimage to Africa and then looking at getting culturally connected to both the people and the land itself gives you a personal identity and experience to be able to really understand what true African freedom is about. And I just kind of wanted to weigh in on that part. I'm not going to galley too long about it, but I'll let you go ahead and continue on, Brother Imani. Peace and blessings.
Thank you so much. So
Real
yes,
quick, brother. Real quick.
yes,
So yeah, I was listening to Brother Eugene talk about DNA testing and things like that, and I think it's very important for some. I mean, if you need that to do that, but I would like to caution anyone who chooses to do that because you're giving up your DNA, and you know who's pulling those strings, who's behind the people collecting the DNA and storing it. You know, what will they use it on? So that's something to be mindful of if you choose to go that route. You know, to watch out with to whom you give up your DNA. As a matter of fact, I was just watching the BBC before I logged on this evening, and they were reporting from Hong Kong and about the COVID situation in Hong Kong and the testing that's involved. And so you have pro-Beijing supporters who support the COVID testing going on in Hong Kong right now. And you have the opposition, those who oppose the rule coming out of Beijing. The protesters over there are not taking the COVID test because for a few reasons. For one, they are against anything that the government is promoting, number one. And number two, they were also, I found it interesting that they said this is just another way to police the people, to collect our DNA and use that against us. So that was just pretty interesting. It's two different instances, you know, talking about African genealogy and origins versus Hong Kong COVID testing, but the same issue of DNA and what, you know, DNA can be used for or how it can be used against the people. And so the people of Hong Kong are very much aware of that. And so I just want to make African people also be aware about to whom we give up our DNA to. You understand?
For sure.
So,
but I know
everyone's free to take the test. I mean, but just something to think about. If it matters to you, it matters. If it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter. But something to be aware of.
Great. You got a point there, Brother Roz. And I'd like to reiterate this too. When you do take your DNA test, many of those companies that are providing those tests you have the option for them to dispose of your DNA after the test has been done. So you may want to read some of the fine print of the DNA and see what your options are with having that test done. So that's just a word of information, but it is a place that you can begin to kind of track, and especially those of ADOS, where many of us, if you hadn't done anything like that, you would have no idea where your ancestral background and lineage come from. But as a part of Brother Money has spoke about earlier in the conversation about Blacks, African people, uh, as a part of the European system, began to collectively was assimilated to be a part of an information gathering sector, which all of us know today. We have driver's license, social security cards, and things of this nature. And you know, sometimes we talk about some of the things that the Europeans have done to us, but much of the stuff that we have to be realistic about too is some of our ancestral, uh, uh, as long as they had been here on Earth, did not have a system in place to where they were able to collect information about the people as people were advancing into the future. So ID and identification is very important because one, it gives a census of how many people there are in a country. Collecting census would also give you uh, information about how much poverty exists, how many people are well off and well to do, and whether or not there's a divide in the have and the have nots, and how that can be information can be utilized to make a country and its people better. And especially if you are part of the General Assemblies, G8s, uh, or countries, nations that make major decisions about how it is set up to take care of its people through World Bank and other entities that are government entities that help foster the development of a nation. So let's just make that clear as well. But go ahead, continue, Brother Monty, with the dialogue.
Hold on, brother. Is that a plug for everyone to complete their census this year?
Well, that's definitely that's personally, that's up to each individual person because many people feel.
I did mine. Just to let you know, I did mine already.
Yeah, I mean, it's important information for a nation. Period. I mean, I don't think have that anything to do with
True.
uh, gender or economic base alone, uh, but it's information that a country can use itself to help be able to obtain funding through outside development, especially through the World Bank and IMF. These are institutions that are set up and have special interests to make sure that countries do well. And so when you're collecting information like that, I know it can be sometimes sensitive because you have immigrants who may not be from that particular country, but have been living there and may find that their very well being, not being a citizen of a country could jeopardize their immigration status. So yeah, it's a thing whether or not a person is personal situation. Person have to decide where they want to participate with that for sure. But go
Okay.
ahead, brother Monty. Go ahead and continue with the dialogue and the questions for the program this evening.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think not long ago, and I'm still trying to bring in this lady here. You guys, you can see the lady who is the founder of African Ancestry. She lives in Washington D.C. I don't remember her name exactly, but that is her organization. So I'm trying to bring her in to ask her the question of the question of privacy. How it works, and see if she can actually uh, tell us about the whole idea of DNA and if
I
it's
think that would be
sexual.
a good program. I think that would be a good program
Yeah,
and good information for people to know. You
yes,
know,
definitely.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, somebody could say they destroy your information, but doesn't mean they're actually doing it.
Yeah, definitely. And we all know that they already have a lot of information about us, anyways. But
Right.
we definitely have to work very, very easily. We should be able to get this lady very easily to get her uh, come to our show because she lives in DC and I have a lot of her contacts. I think I have her email address if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah, I look forward to that.
yeah,
Yeah, I
so
actually did my DNA test with them a couple of years ago.
I can hear you, Jerome.
I also did my DNA test. Me and my dad did it a
Oh,
couple of
okay.
years ago with that website. Yeah. I just
Yeah.
did my
What'd you
paternal
find out? What did you find out, brother?
on my paternal only. Paternal line is from Central African Republic, Congolese people. That's what it said.
From the
Oh, so
Congo, huh?
you are
Congolese, yeah, from
Congolese.
Central African. Yeah, I
And
think I
just
Yeah.
already
think
told JP that.
if you're a part of the medical system, if you're going to the doctors on a regular basis and you've been giving blood, you're already in the system. So, so you really don't
Yeah,
have
so we
to
can't be too
worry about.
paranoid, right? So
Yeah. You don't be so paranoid about it and say, yeah, well, these people got my DNA. Well, if they have it and it may be a DNA bank somewhere, after planet Earth is done and the aliens come visit, they may say, hey, let's bring this DNA back to life.
Hey, bro, I missed that episode.
get some clones. Maybe some
I'll
clones
get
in the
on
future.
another plane
I
there, but
missed that
definitely,
episode,
that's
brother.
futuristic stuff right there. It could happen.
I'm gonna
Like
have to look for that one. I'm gonna have to YouTube that episode.
yeah, but for sure, and I took my DNA test about 3 years ago, and
What'd you find out?
I come to find out my DNA Cameroonian and Benin.
All
So
right.
just going back from the time, and we do have some track records. My family, we do have our track records of when our ancestors, a few of our ancestors, when they landed here in the United States, coming from the Caribbean islands and into the United States. But just looking at the historical relationship of that region of Africa, it was a part of the Benin Empire at the time. And of course, that stretched very far and very wide and dynamic. But come to find out, one of my ancestors are from the Cameroonian region, and one of the ancestors are from Benin. So it's probably two connections in between, both paternal and maybe another connection. But for most people of ADOS are going to have three DNA connections. One would be our African ancestry, and then of course from maybe one or two regions in Africa, and then you're going to have your European connection as well. And a lot of
I was
that,
gonna ask you, you didn't have anything from that area, man? You sure?
yeah, well, the European ancestry comes in at slightly above 10%. So, most of that looking at African, so-called African American connection uh, comes from many centuries of integration. And when you look at African American DNA ancestry, many of our women that came here as a part of slavery had been raped or perhaps had uh, personal relationships of gain with the masters of the house or the masters of the land at the time, and evolved out of that. Nothing to be ashamed of, because when you are in captivity, it becomes a position of survival. And for us to be able to survive from that time being of American life up till today, you had to be of a very strong genetic link of people in order to do so, being smart enough to survive uh, genocide, chaotic people who had control of your destiny. And then, of course, watching people of the native land of Africa, the native lands of America, watching their genocide take place while you're trying to survive too. So yeah, Africans have a very African American people have a very strong cultural history, and many of us, despite uh, some of the tales that have been told about us, where we did not keep our connection to our African culture, that is specifically not true at all. Many of us kept very well connected to our African culture as we had to integrate with other tribes that came here. We did that because we knew that that was a safety mechanism for us to be able to survive, hostile environment. And so this is where uh, we want to be able to relay this to our brothers and sisters that are on the continent of Africa, where they may look at us, oh, they some light-skinned people. What do they have to do with being connected to Africa? And I think we need to get away from uh, what we figure as who we are as an African people by the way we look. But when we get more into the DNA of who it is that we are, I think we need to hold that to a little bit more validity of being able to identify ourselves with our culture and where we come from. And just like I said before, too, and you look at ADOS, African descendants of enslaved people, uh, a lot of what we have today in our DNA was not by choice. They had butt breaking camps, breeding camps for men and women at that time, as well as the white masters of the house of the land at that time. They had their choice of women. It was phenomenally crazy, even to the point where certain religious as well as cultural doctrines had to be fostered in order to make us become a mainstream of this culture that you see today. So when you see some Black people not being able to identify themselves as being a part of the African culture, a lot of this is psychological experience, and then some is just based out of being dumbfounded about collectively who you are as a person. Where do you come from? So I just want to throw that out there to kind of
Yeah.
get the
Okay.
dialogue a little bit more juicy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is some real talk that we have here today, and
Yeah.
I
Thank
just
you.
want to say this. This is some talk that I feel that African people, Black people here in the United States, or wherever you may be at in the world, to be able to listen in, to be able to give each other feedback, so then that we can begin to identify who it is that we are as an African people, bridging the gap in the Pan-African movement, because that's what this conversation is really all about. Is getting down to what are we going to do collectively as a people to embetter ourselves as African people here on the earth, as we are dealing with some folks who are crazy, psychotic sometimes, and as well as controlling of African people as we begin to seek our true liberation. And I think that's very important for us to have this type of dialogue today. Go ahead, Brother Money.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. I'm gonna show you a little bit about the lady who does the ancestry. I found her picture. I think you guys can see this. Uh, she's in Washington D.C. So we will invite her, and she will tell us more about how the process and how can we make sure that uh, our identity is not being stolen or used for different ideas or different things, maybe to create some violence that will take lives of all African people. Yeah. So moving on. Now, let me take you a little bit to the African diaspora population. Uh, because I think this is also very important. So as we talk now, the African diaspora or people of descendants of Africa, which they do not include people in West Papua and a lot of people who are in Southeastern Asia. They don't, most of the time they don't put them there. So this is 14 million African people of descendants or descendant of Africa who live in most of them they are living in American continent. Actually, Brazil comes as the first one, as you can see, around 82, some 277, 82 millions. And United States comes as the second one with 41 million, and Haiti, and then Colombia, which I did not actually know until when I was doing my research. And then it comes down to France. France also hold many people, many black people as well, and Venezuela. Whereas maybe your Trinidad countries and Guyana, it comes all the way to the bottom somewhere here. But there is some people, of course. Now, all of these people are Africans, and they don't need to do anything to be accepted. Okay. Forget about those process. If there is whatever the company is in the country, yeah, definitely they can go through the process, but they don't have to be asked so many questions and so on, or looked like they are not from Africa. And number two, I'm going to show you is the population of Africa in general, which I don't think we have showed this before. So Nigeria comes as the first one with 206 million, and Ethiopia comes as next, and Egypt comes as third one. This is a lot of Arabs there, and Congo, and then South Africa and Tanzania. And Tanzania and Kenya, they are next to each other, and they are also following each other. And then Uganda too, they are next to each other. Those are three East African countries here. So as you can see, our population is really good, big deal there. We have a lot of people actually. We've all the way to the last one is St. Helens, which is the small island in Indian Ocean. Yeah, so these are the population of Africa in 2020. I was showing you guys. Now, let me finish by talking about African. Before I finish, let me ask Opie. Opie, are you there? Yes, Opie, I have a question for you. Do you know by any chance how before European came to us in Africa, do you know how in Nigeria they will give you a citizenship? If you ever hear of it, or if you haven't, it's fine. We can definitely. I was trying to invite people who are a little more older, so they can tell us what was the process in the country. If someone end up in your tribe, what was the process for you to become member of the family or the tribe? Opie? Okay, I don't think he's in there.
What was that? Was that for me?
Eh?
What was the question?
Yeah, the question is, before European come to colonize us, what was the process? Let's say like my grandparents were left in East Africa and they end up to be in your tribe. What was the process for them to become a member of your tribe? What is that? Was just you just become, or there was an application, or there is some tradition you have to go through, or it was how was?
Well, that's a kind of loaded question. You're saying before colonization or right now, or you're also saying something about local tribes and tribes across the African continent. So exactly, what are you asking?
I'm asking like because I know definitely I have heard that if you wanna be a member of the family of Maasai, there is some inauguration has taken place, and there is time you need to complete to be among them. There is the language requirement and so on before you can actually. There is some traditional you have to go through. Whereas, as you see now today, if someone is just the Western, special America, if you are born here, they just call you American because they steal this land from someone. So honestly, they're trying to bring everyone in here, and you feel like you belong to here. But this was not the case in Africa. So
Well, I don't really know very much about the immigration process of the country. Maybe somebody else can answer that. But I do know that there is a system in place, and I know also that you can definitely marry into that culture, just as you can in America. You can marry somebody who's a Nigerian and get a Nigerian citizen by that path. But I don't know the details of the entire immigration system of the country this moment.
Maybe I can help you out here. This is Bayo Idowu from Nigeria too. Good evening, Brother
very good.
Eugene.
Yes, Mr.
Yeah.
Bayo, please help
Did
us
you
out on that.
understand the
Thank you.
question, sir?
Good evening,
Yes,
brother.
I understand the question very well.
Okay.
Uh, in the olden days,
Mm-hmm.
people are distinct from each other. And when somebody comes to your tribe, to your locality, he's taken first as a visitor. They
Okay.
take time to study this person, and after living with them for so many years, of course, the person will pick the language. After picking the language, then marriage takes place, and depending on the industry and how hardworking the person is, the person can be integrated into the community, and it becomes part of. Of course, there was no citizenship, so to say, the way we know it today, but visitors get accommodated and invariably get integrated, depending on the on the characteristics and the behavior of the person that is joining a tribe, for instance, because people existed on intertribal basis. Tribes have distinct characteristics. So somebody who comes today as a visitor lives for so long, and after some time gets assimilated, and he automatically becomes a member of the community. However, if this person does not have good character, of course, that's a different thing. The person is expelled from the community. And before handing over, if I may just say something about the presenter mentioned about people in Brazil being originated from Angola and Democratic Republic of Congo. I think this is a little not the majority of the people who were taken from Africa to Brazil were from the western part of were from the west coast of Africa, that is in Nigeria. You see, the Yoruba people up till today have distinct cultural characteristics with the people in Brazil. The god of iron, as this is worshipped in Ibadan in Nigeria, is the same that is worshipped in Brazil. In fact, recently Yoruba language was adopted as a national language in Brazil. So the same thing goes up to Cuba. We have the same names. These things are still very alive there. So to add to the discussion, most of the people in those areas in the Caribbean, just like Brother Eugene mentioned, came from the west coast of Africa. Just to make that correction.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where I read it. I think I read it somewhere, but I can be wrong. And I think if you look the things about voodoo and traditional rituals Brazilian do, I
Yes.
think it is more founded in Sierra Leone, Nigeria, and in that area. You're definitely right. I think I will take that as well. But again, I read it somewhere. I don't remember where I read it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So I think you guys you understand how he just mentioned about how they were adopting someone to come through the system. It was based on the individual's characters, and also it was based on the tribe or the community where someone is being coming to. But I don't know what would happen if someone came to invade the tribe and then they end up to be there.
Well, this is a classic example of what happened between the Fulanis and the Hausas in
Okay.
the northern part of Nigeria. The Fulanis were nomadic people,
Mm-hmm.
and they came with Islamic religion.
Okay.
Well, they encountered the Hausas
Mm-hmm.
and settled in, but craftily they took over the structure of governance of the Hausa people. You will notice that in those places they still speak Hausa till today, but all their rulership is the Fulanis. What happened was they conquered those places either by trickery or by outright warfare. So such is different from somebody who migrated into a tribe and settle down, maybe as a result of his culture and industry, gets assimilated into the community. Of course, the tribal one is by conquest, no doubt about it. I mean, when it is when there was warfare, but if, when you don't have warfare, then it is the community will take time to assess the person that is being taken as a visitor. First of all, they give the person farmland, or if he's a hunter, they give demarcations of where he can go and practice his trade. And after some time, when they see that this person is of good character, he's industrious and is contributing to the society, then he can then be integrated into the society. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I think you guys you hear that if in the case maybe someone conquer, they will take over, and once they take over, maybe the one who been conquered, they will try to rebuild again and try to fight them back.
Mm.
And that was the process. But if it's someone just individual coming, there was a process to kind of inaugurate or to bring this individual to be a member of family, and based on individual's characteristics and the characters, how good this individual is. Eugene, it seems like you're gonna pick up microphone. Are you?
Yeah, I sure do it. I'd like to weigh in. Thank you, brother Adawu, from
Yes.
Nigeria. There, that's one of my homeboys. And hey, brother, welcome. It's always a pleasure to see you. That's for sure. A lot of folks
Good.
don't know about brother Adawu. He was the commercial consulate at the Embassy of Nigeria, and both he and I we met a few years ago at the Nigerian Investment Summit, which was a very dynamic conference and. Bringing the diaspora in to inform the diaspora how they can become engaged on many of the investment opportunities that exist in Nigeria right now. So shout out, brother, to you. One love.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and speaking about this dialogue, I know we've been discussing who is an African, and I think for the most part of it is uh, people around the world, whether you are on the continent or out or a part of the African diaspora, uh, we all know that we have a connection to as being African people, and also have a responsibility for the continent of Africa itself. And so, one of the things that we do have been talking about that brought us to this dialogue today is that uh, we saw a picture of a Asian man being raised to the level of chief in some village, I believe, either in Ghana or Nigeria. We weren't quite sure, but some of the questions that a lot of people have in the African diaspora is that, yeah, it seemed like the people that very well have depressed African people, its culture, and including the direction of where we feel that Africa needs to be today. They seem to let other outsiders in besides brothers and sisters of the African diaspora, and especially if he's talking about brothers and sisters of ADOS. And so now I know that many of the countries in the ECOWAS region have been beginning to look at changing some of the constitution that have stifled Africans in the diaspora to be able to come back to Africa to live, work, and play, and to be a major part of helping to move Africa into the future with offering dual citizenship, and some are repatriating to many of the countries. And so I'm going to make a long story short. With that, we want to see how the African diaspora, and especially brothers and sisters that are connected to the New Africa Network, how we can begin to bridge the divide between African descendants of Africa with the brothers and sisters on the continent, because we know we've often talked and spoke about that we can't change anything what took place in the past, but as a new breed leader generation, we have the ability to maneuver in a way that we can foster what our future looks like, and that future starts today, as we are speaking about the advancement of the Black man and woman wherever they may be in the world, to be able to come together as a collective unit, a Pan-African movement, to be able to put in place a safeguard of Africa. It is a land of our African ancestors. It is a land that is connected to us as a people, and we must take control and responsibility of the future of Africa. Now, we have everybody from the outside, the Europeans, we got the Asians, we have the East Indians. Everybody are there with their eyes on the prize, and mostly the eyes on the prize of our ancestral possessions. This is land that is directly connected to the Black man and woman, Africa, the first point of civilization. So how is it now that we could come together as a unity of people to be able to protect that which is ours, and ours, which I mean is Africa itself? Right now, many of us are experiencing the same thing that our forefathers that have landed in the United States, here in America, South America, wherever you Black in the Caribbean islands, and these folks have not treated us with respect. But we know as an African collective of people that we can gain respect once we unify. So let's discuss that a little bit, and to identify who it is that we are as African people. Go ahead, Brother Amani.
Thank you so much, and thank you for brother from all the way to Nigeria. I know it's a little late over there, but I think I already talked about African in Africa, which I talked about what are the conditions and the characteristics, and I also talked about African descendants of people who were made to be slaves. In Arabs and European, and now I'm finishing with the descendants of African descendants of immigrants. This one here is simply because we don't have long time. We do have long time immigrants left from Africa to other places. Some of them we don't even know until today where they are. So anywhere you go in whole this planet, it does not matter how, but you're gonna find out one or two people who are black people who live there for one reason to another. Some went for trade, some went founding farming, some went for different reasons, found jobs. In Japan, you may find some there too as well. In Ukraine, you'll be shocked and you'll be amazed at how many black people of immigrants are all over the world. Even in Irish, I was shocked, like Ireland, really we have black people there. So those people, African descendants of immigrants, if your parents, one of them is black, we are winning team. So you are black. It does not have to be your mom just being, or your daddy has to be black. No, if you are black, one of them is black, you are black. And most of the time, it even goes a little further to your grandparents as well. If your grandma or your grandpa is black, you are black. Because if you don't look black, but you go to through DNA test, if one of them, your grandpa or your grandma, it was black, you're gonna come up with more than 35% of DNA. So those are African descendants of immigrants. I don't know if there's any question on that, because they almost similar to African who were taken from Africa for slavery, even though the immigrants, they came on their own way. They decide to move to one place to another, and we have many of them actually.
Let's talk about this too, Brother Monty, while we're on this discussion.
Yes.
You have many people who now have integrated families, and it becomes a question of where would they play in the role of being a part of African society. So the question of it is, if your parent is either one or the other, if they're European and African, or African and Asian, or whatever it is, I feel that they should automatically, if they identify themselves as being African, although they may be half of each one of their parents, it should not be any discrepancy. And I think that's sometimes where we get a little confusion at when it comes to of the African diaspora. We have to realize that the African diaspora sometimes consists of many cultural integrated people, but they identify themselves as being Black and down with African culture. So we want to be able to express that, because that's definitely is some dialogue that has always existed in the African American culture, whereas some look white, some are dark. And so when we get down to it, sometimes the lighter skinned people are more of the Pan-African movement than the darker skinned people, and the darker skinned people are the ones who get the oppression most. So, yeah, I think when we come to the table and we're discussing cultural divide, we must be clear about the identity of who is an African. So definitely, I want to know if anybody in there that's out there right now want to weigh in on some of that as well, because I know just being an African culture here in the United States, some of us do have mixed ancestry and some of us don't. But like I said before too, many of our brothers and sisters who have been engaged in the movement have been questioned about how Black are they. And so
I think
and so to me it gets down to this: some of our light-skinned brothers and sisters, they more down with the Pan-African movement than the darker skinned brothers and sisters. So
just try to weigh in on that a little bit, and this is really where I get really passionate about it, because yeah, there is definitely challenges surrounding how to identify and all that. All this issue about ancestry and maybe even color of the skin and all that. It's almost like to get to a better future, we kind of need to transcend all of that. I mean, it might be a good thing to know your ancestry. It might be a good thing to even go all the way back to your traditional roots and all that. That path should still be there, available for anyone to tread, but that shouldn't be the motive of our unity because it's only going to lead to division. Because the African continent itself is a conglomerate of multiple thousands, if not millions, of different cultures. So we don't want to focus on that. Otherwise, it would divide us further. I think the focus should be of the unity should be towards a Pan-African understanding, which doesn't necessarily mean you even have to be African. You don't even have to be African to have a pro or Pan-African mentality. The problem is we need to find a way to save Africa from being destroyed or from being broken up or from becoming the shithole of the world. That's the problem that we're trying to solve. If we can take Africa from being a shithole to a third world country or to a first world country, no matter how, whoever has that kind of an intention or that kind of a motive is actually a Pan African, and that's the person we want to unite with.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that the reason why we are seeing people question how dark you have to be and how light you have to be is the idea of foolishness and the mentality of Europeans who always play games to divide us. Okay, in my family, we have dark, very very dark skinned people. We have very very light skinned people, away light, and we have short people, we have tall people, we have all those kind of shapes in my family, just in my family. And if you want to say like based on the skin, your layers of your skin, and that's what describe you to be African, that's nonsense. Okay, I said before, it's based on your DNA. Okay, it does not matter even if you look white, really really white. If your DNA tests, it shows that you are African, like Chinese. In South Africa, you will see like almost Chinese, but with just different hair, but they look totally Chinese. So yeah, the idea of dark and light skin, those are our blessings. Okay, it is something we should be proud of as Africans because if you like light skin or dark skin, you can find all of them in Africa. So that should be actually something to be proud of, something we should say, hey, thanks because we have these layers of skin color, we have these languages, we have this culture, we have these religions. It's something to bring
I
us,
just
but
I just want to
Europeans
add
use that to
something to
destroy
what you're
us. Yes.
saying,
Uh-huh.
Brother Imani. I know I said that, it's just the intention that we're looking for, but you're right. DNA also matters. So, I mean, it should be granted, right, that the continent of Africa belongs to Africans. There's so many things happening right now that's just totally wrong. For example, there's white people, some people even claiming the land more than some Africans in some parts of Africa. It's actually outright disrespect for the rule of law, for nature in the way I see it. It's because there's not enough people who are Pan Africans to say, well, that's just wrong. Can you move to China right now and start claiming that you're an indigenous person being white? So it will be a general understanding, a general idea, a general belief that Africa belongs to Africans. If you want to trace your DNA, there might even be an argument that everybody in the whole world has DNA that points to Africa. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not trying to mince words. We should all agree that Africa belongs to Africans. So that means you must be black in some way. And if those people decide to start accepting some white people because they have a little bit of a DNA in their body, well, that should be their decision at that point in time. It shouldn't be imposed. So first of all, let's agree Africa belongs to Africans. And everybody that accepts that and wants to help us to move that forward is a Pan-African. Those are the people we want to unite with.
I think that
I
you
think,
need to be very,
sorry,
very
at
careful.
this stage, we need to refocus because right from the time of independence of African countries, the question of unity has been approached from the political point of view. And we can see that it is not working. The only thing and I'm very serious about it. The only thing that can
And here's
unite
your
us,
camera stand. I'm sorry.
the only thing that can unite us is the economic is the economic collaboration and economic exploitation of Africa by Africans. You can see that's why the Chinese are moving in using the economic angle. If we do not go to the now we have diasporans we have Africans with economic power in the West. We need to aggregate this and bring them to Africa, where you have virgin lands and opportunity all over the place. That if we do not talk about unity in this area, we will just be wasting our time by talking about color of skin. This is important, but it's beside the point. The only thing that can unite us, as Brother Eugene is professing, and I agree with him, is for us to do business together, for us to bring capital from the West to develop Africa. It is that vacuum that China is exploiting. China is not coming to develop Africa for Africans. It's trying to come and take advantage of Africa, just like the white people did from the West. So the earlier we can come together and bring resources to come and exploit the virgin lands of Africa by Africans themselves. Now, the technology is available with the diasporans, and they also have the capital. In Africa, you have the youthful population for the consumption. The market will not be a problem. So this is where I think we should focus our attention. I'm sorry I didn't put up my video because it was late. I was already on the bed before. But this is where I think we should focus our attention to get a maximum benefit.
For sure. And
Yeah.
thank you for that, brother. Thank you for that, brother Adu. And this is one of the primary reasons that the Nigerian Investment Summit took place a couple of years ago to primarily address some of that. And for those who don't know it, a African population here in the United States of 50 million people with a GDP of almost $3 trillion annually. And what we've been spending here in this country as consumer people definitely would be a very wise and investment opportunity for us to be able to take advantage of. And especially we've often discussed how can the African diaspora participate in the jumpstart of the African Industrial Revolution, which primarily is a initiative that is taking place all over Africa right now. And so there's many investment opportunities for us to be able to get an economic foothold as we begin to reintegrate ourselves into Africa civilization. It will also open up the opportunities for us to collectively begin to see what our options are for living in some of these places where we're not particularly necessarily wanted or treated with respect. And so, moving towards a future African man and woman, this is some of the things that we must now begin to concentrate on. How can we get an economic footing so that we can get the respect that we need worldwide? And that's pretty much what's taking place with many of the Asian nations. If you looked at their economics over the last 20 years, you've seen how places like Malaysia and Indonesia, places like United Arab Emirates, and you name it, all of these nations at one point in time, including Vietnam, had been bombed out from a senseless war, how these nations have become to be major players on the market today. And so, yes, that's what we need to really concentrate on is not just the cultural aspects of who it is identifying ourselves as African people. We know that already who we are. But what we need to get down to is the dialogue of the meat and the potatoes. How can we better ourselves as a people? Because once we lift ourselves up to a level of unity and uniting our economic resources, our natural resources, getting control of our natural resources, then we no longer have to be trying to confront oppression and opposition because we have a system in place that's allowing us to be the best that we can be. And so, yes, as Pan Africans, let's see ourselves moving in a direction that's going to be beneficial in this 21st century. This is a year of 2020. 2020 is a year that our vision is being made aware. A lot of this is ancestrally, spiritually connected. This is why we're having conversations like this today. And so, I get really emotional sometimes because many times we have been coming to the table since the 60s trying to figure out what it is that we need to be doing as Black people. And I feel like we've been having these discussions for over a century now, and we should have some type of inkling and direction. And Marcus Garvey laid that out for us. And so now I think we need to start taking advantage of some of the information that has already been relayed. We can also go back and look and see what our history consists of. We can read about our history, but we can't do anything about what took place in the past, but learn from the past and begin to structure a future that's going to be effective for us as a collective people. So, yes, thank you, Brother Adu, for bringing that up. So anybody out there who wants to weigh in at the moment, we're getting pretty late in the show's dialogue today, and we want to open up the platform for anybody who may want to weigh in on some of our conversation this evening.
Well, before that, I'd definitely like to say one more thing. Thanks, brother Eugene, for saying that, and brother Idowu, thanks for weighing in on the conversation tonight. But yeah, definitely, business is a uniting force. I like to believe that there's been intelligent African people from time immemorial. So it's not like we've been having a deficit. It's just that the uniting force is what's been missing, and we're trying to create a united front within a system that is actually rigged against Africans. That's another problem. The unity is a problem, but the system that's rigged against our kind is also another problem. Not only rigged to ensure that we are not successful in uniting together, but also rigged in making sure that we don't have a level playing field, so to speak. So what we're fighting against is on two fronts. First of all, we're fighting against, resistance to our kind. We're also fighting for unification of our kind. And the diversity that has brought us to where we are today has only worsened. Before it was just diverse cultures in Africa. Now it's diverse cultures across the globe. But for us to succeed, we really do need to transcend all of that, because what we want, what we're fighting for, is really similar. And I do believe that business can really be that uniting front. Business has a way of just finding the problems and entrepreneurially solving problems that occur. So if we all keep a strict business mindset, we actually might be able to overcome all of the resistance and all of the problems that we face even in today's world, even all the way back to the World Health Organizations, the IMF, all the international bodies that are silently also allowing some of this mental oppression to continue to exist, whether they like it or not. It's inside the system. It's deep inside the system. I think we can overcome all of that only if we unite like a business, because there are businesses that are bigger than countries in this time and age. So if we unite like that, we can create a force. And that's why I keep on imagining in my mind that what we need is not a real continent of Africa on the map. What we need is like a virtual country, a country that can now, because as Africa is today, it doesn't really have a voice that is strong. It's a big country, a lot of people, but it can't really talk. It can't make things happen when it speaks. So what we need is a virtual country that composes of us, our kind, and people that are even much more viral, and then a united one that can actually speak and make things happen and make decrees that would actually move ground. I think if we do that in a business form, I think, that platform is already there. The vehicles are already there. We just have to use them, right? I think we're going to have some breakthroughs. And again, thank you everyone for joining
Thank
tonight.
you guys. I think that we, as you say, some of us, we already know who is an African, but somehow there is something still going on that we really need to fix and to talk about in order to even think of unity. I'm going to show you a video, little, just like 2 seconds or 3 seconds. This video was taken from Namibia. Namibia is the first place where the Germany actually did what they call Holocaust in Namibia on Namibian people. So this is a
percent of the population, but they own nearly 60% of the country's private land and don't want to give it up.
I'm from Namibia, born and raised.
They wanted the land back? How? Sorry, but that's just. I mean, really? It's not even their land.
We can't hear it.
So did you hear that?
Oh, there's no audio.
Yeah, so
There
she
is no
said
audio.
that she's from there in Namibia, place where they did this genocide, and she said that it's not even a Namibian's land. Okay, so when you say that we already know who is an African, are you telling me to do business with people who come and genocide us? No, definitely not. Those are not
No,
Africans.
we're not.
Yes,
And
yes,
I think
yes,
that's-
brother.
that's
Yes.
very
I'm
fair.
sorry. I guess maybe that question was for me when I said that. Yes, brother
Yeah, go ahead.
Imani. That's what I meant. I'm sorry, but not directly like that. Like, see what's happening in Zimbabwe right now. Those people right now have been put in a position where they are not able to survive unless they do business with those people,
They
right?
need
And
to
then
kick
look at
those
South
people
Africa
out.
also.
That's what they need to do.
Yeah,
Just
that's
kick
what
them
you
out.
say right now. That's what you say right now, Miss Brother Imani. That's what you say right now. But logically, that's not number one on the list of things we're trying to achieve. Maybe that's number 20, okay? We need to unite and get some things done before we start thinking about those luxuries. People are dying because of what you're saying right now. So that's just my point. You actually, even when we create a true Africa, the one I'm dreaming about, the virtual one that is very strong, right? That can actually make decrees and everybody's going to be moving in the world. When we do that, even at that point in time, we're not going to be isolated. We're going to be working with everybody, with the US, Germany, China, all of those same people. So we don't want to jeopardize people's lives because we are not happy about what has happened in the past. We can never live in isolation. So we go gradually and we take out the rot out of the system when we are successful.
I think that's a good point there, Brother OP. With mentioning that, I know that there's a lot of displaced Africans because of the Europeans and many of the colonizers that came in and have done very horrific things to the people. And that is where the people as a culture have to come together to feel whether or not this is something that they can bring to world court and being able to get some justification on why it is that they're displaced and why it is that you can have colonizers, descendants, be able to take advantage of what was taken away from the indigenous people some years ago, even some centuries ago. So yeah, this is definitely something where it comes in, and when you talk about reparations and compensation, these things have to be discussed by the indigenous people themselves to figure out how it is that they can deal with that particular problem, especially like in Africa, South Africa, where most of the land itself is being returned to many of the white settlers. And so there have been some opposition with that because they feel that that's land of their ancestors. And if it wasn't for a colonizer coming in, stealing the land from them, then they would never have to be in this conversation from the whole get-go. So yes, that's something of dialogue that needs to take place with the indigenous people of Africa. But also, that has become a primary question of with the African diaspora returning to Africa, what of that land itself is actually a part of our reparations as well. As far as being able to have a say-so in having ancestral rights to the land. So that's also another question. And I think a lot of the Native African brothers and sisters, they really don't question when the Europeans or the Asians come there about the land situation, but when the African diaspora begins to come there, oh, we don't know these black people. You know what I'm saying? Let's be real about it. They say we don't know these black people and they not African like we are, and that's getting down to the question again, how much African is African and how black is a black person. So yeah, definitely it's some very deep conversation.
That's why we don't want to go there.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely.
That's why we don't want to go there, right?
Okay, guys, I think our time is over.
Right, brother. You're right, brother Eugene.
Yeah, so I wish you guys nice weekend. We will meet next Saturday. The topic today was who is an African, and I hope all of you knows who is an African and who is acting like African but not African. It does not matter what, you just don't come from.
We got a lot of culture bandits now, though. It's a lot of culture bandits in the world now. So.
Brother Imani, can you hear me? Looks like you're about to close it.
Yes, I'm about to close because time is gone.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Brother Eugene's last statement because it's very important. I don't know if we'll get another opportunity to talk this deep. This is actually a good conversation. But yeah, that unity and that new Africa, that new one that we're talking about, that we really want to get to, that we all want to go. I think that's the one that would solve most of the problems. Like, for example, African Americans or people in the diaspora should not have any problem repatriating at all. It shouldn't even be called repatriation. It should be called, homecoming or something like that. But when we have single powerful body, that the decrees will be made. We're not going to be asking or begging for passports. It's going to be a decree, right? That your brother is coming home, okay? That kind of a thing. Right now we don't have something like that. Right now, whoever is leading the African country will make you pay for it, right? Yeah, it is. But I think it's a little bit too early because right now you have people on ground that would like to take your money, for example. They would like to milk you for something that's actually yours. So we want to get to a place where we are picking out the people, the key people that we know they stand for good. People like Brother Idowu and the like. You see their track record of the things that they've done. You pick them and make sure that they're part of that body. Now they become the voices, the kingmakers of the world that we're talking about. Then we don't have to beg the things that belong to us. We don't have to beg them to help us to get our land back in Zimbabwe. We don't have to beg them to help us to get our passport if we want to come home. I think that's the body that we need to focus on. And that all goes back to unity. It has nothing to do about genetics. It has nothing to do about skin color, really.
For sure.
Thank you for allowing me to talk.
All right. Thank you, guys. I do appreciate for you coming. I wish you a blessed weekend. I will see you on Saturday at 6 p.m. in Washington this time. And be blessed. Stay in unit.
Thank you.
Okay.
One love.
Thank you. Good night.
One love.
One love. One love.